All right, we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. We are live here in the Pouring Room YouTube channel, and I have with me all of the founders from the Pouring Room. My name is Jacinta Daniel. Of course, I have Miss Nikesa Jackson, and I have Crystal C. Davis, guys. Wave. Hey, everyone. Good to see y'all. We're so grateful to have you guys joining us again for another episode of our live podcast that we do here, and we do this once a month, and the topics are good. If you missed out on anything prior, we suggest that you go back to our YouTube channel, check out our live YouTube section, check out our video section, and just really soak in the knowledge that the Pouring Room has to offer. We are, of course, called the Pouring Room because we are a place filled with grace, and we do so with the pillars of love, hope, and faith as God has commanded according to his word. And we are here to share so much with you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start in prayer.
Okay. Hi, I'm going to open us up in prayer so we can hop into this great topic. So, dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this session, God. I just ask that you will be with us, that whatever you need to say to each and every one of us, including us as the founders, God, that you would release it through our mouths, God, and that it will touch the people it needs to touch, whether they watch it today or 10 years from now, God, that it will bless them, God. And as we enter this space to talk about obedience, God, I just ask that a new level of obedience will fall upon all of us, God. We just cancel any fear that may come over anyone that's watching, or anxiety, God. We just cancel any distractions, any technology issues, God. We just ask that this message will come clear, that they will not be distracted in their homes, that we will not be distracted in the places that we are, that we will be focused, God. I just ask that you will keep us forward in this time, that as we listen in and as we hear what you're saying to us, God, that we speak it clearly, that we'll feel your overwhelming peace, and that you will be with us. And I just ask there be no backlash or retaliation for the things that we will release, and any kind of freedom that anyone will receive today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, guys, with that being said, let's hop right into our topic for tonight. So, tonight we're actually talking about obedience, as Nikesa said. And the reason why we're doing that is because we actually talked about it through our Winning May series. And with our Winning May series, we actually talked about faith, we talked about hope, we talked about love, and this week we talked about obedience. So, with obedience, we're talking about divine directives, right? What does that mean simply? Literally, simply, it's the instructions that God gives us, right? He gave it to Moses, He gave it to Abraham, He gave it to David, He gave it to the prophets of old, but He's still giving directions now, right? He's still giving divine instructions that lead to a purpose even now. So, ladies, this is how we all got together, right? We got together under a divine instruction. Little did we know that starting by going to eat out and just wanting to complete some of the tasks, the businesses, the books, the anything else that God had given us on our plates, we wanted to get that stuff done without looking up 20 years later going, God, I don't know what just happened, but time has just passed. So because of that, divine directive. Here we are. TPR literally is a living testimony in front of all of you guys, including for ourselves. It's a great reminder of just follow God even when you don't understand. Just follow Him. Go out to eat. Right? Go out to eat when he says go out to eat. And then come back. And look, he'll start a whole group that is ready and primed to actually share your knowledge, your skills, and your expertise with not only yourself, but with other women that need it as well. Guys, anybody want to add anything before we jump into it?
Yeah, I want to add because I like you. So this month of May, you all, if you are not, first of all, if you are watching this, go ahead and share this. Share this with your friends. Tag somebody who needs to hear this. This is going to be really good. But if you're not in our Point Room Facebook group, we'll drop the link for you. So this month, what we did was we did something called Winning May, and so each week we talked about winning in hope, faith, and love. And for our fourth week, we did obedience, and we decided that obedience, we want to actually, instead of doing our Manna Monday, which is our live we do inside of the Pouring Room Facebook group, we decided to make it our podcast topic for this month, because sometimes we find ourselves always talking about how things didn't go well and how things got us down or how we're feeling bad. But we wanted to really talk about winning in each and every area. And this week, we're going to talk about winning in obedience. And that's where this topic of divine directives has come from. Because and I love the title divine directives, because sometimes we can downplay the fact that the direction is divine. Like, God didn't have to say, wake up right now because I need you to pray for somebody. God didn't have to say, no, instead of going down this street right here, go down this street right there. He didn't have to stop you in your tracks, right? When you wanted to do that good thing, and he actually needs you to do the God thing. But we, because God is so good and so gracious, we sometimes can downplay the fact that it is divine. Like, literally, you are getting instructions from the third heaven. And it's like when you really realize that the instructions are divine and they are directives, right? The Bible says, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous, because I'll be with you wherever you go, right? The command, I love that scripture because it says, have I not commanded you? It's not a, we want to make it be optional, right? Because you can choose to do what you want to do. That's true. But he commanded us to obey his instructions, and it's directly from the throne room. So this is what this is going to be about. I think I'm already into it a little bit, so I'm gonna pass it back to Jacinta, because if y'all can see, we 6 minutes in and it's already good.
I love it. Crystal, did you have anything to add before we transition over?
All I wanted to say is tonight is going to be so good because not only are we going to talk about those divine directions, but we're going to talk about the hiccups that come with not obeying those divine directions when they are given, how to be obedient swiftly, because that is what this season is going to call for. So I'm excited to get into the conversation. Let's go.
All right, ladies. I love it. I love it. So, real quick, I'm going to flash this is our Facebook group down here. The easiest way to also find us on Facebook is at TPR, or excuse me, at the poor. Hold on, bear with me. I had it in front of me. One second. Let me make sure we get that for them. That is going to be the Pour 365, the POUR 365. Okay. That's the best way to find us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and you can even find us here on YouTube as well. Okay, guys. So let's jump into the question. So I do have a question for you guys. Okay. So since we're talking about divine directives, navigating life through obedience, I want you guys to tell a time that and it can be a testimony time, something you overcame, etc., however God asks you to flow. Let me know a time where God gave you a divine directive that you had to obey, and I'm talking about something that bigger than you, something that required maybe a team, something that you were like, Jesus, who me? Give me one of those moments in your life.
I mean, there are so many moments, right? And I think that what God has given me is something that I have barely bring up. So this is gonna be good. So I remember this was when I first got saved. Like, this was back in 2008. And I got saved like a month before my birthday. I got baptized the day after my birthday. And back in 2008, people downplayed that God talked to you. So I would be almost afraid to tell people what God was telling me to do because it made no sense. But you know, when you're a new believer, you're on fire for God. You like, I just want to do whatever. I'm just finding out about Jesus. I want to do whatever He asks, I'm going to do it. Whatever I feel led to do, because you know that this ain't something you've never heard it. Like, I knew that I heard God prior to, but I didn't know till after I got saved. So once I realized, like, I'm talking to God, like, it was just this thing. And God was like, I was going to school, y'all, for construction management because I wanted to work for my family business. Um, my uncle had me convinced, like, I'll pay for your school. Pick something that I could use you in, which was construction management. And I was like, okay. And I'm taking classes. I'm not even interested in it. All I'm looking at is that when you got to get out of school, you make a lot of money, and you go to school to make money. And so, in the midst of this, I get saved, and God was like, you need to do a career that's going to help people. And so I was playing around with lawyer or nurse because I was like, one of the two will help people in different kind of ways. Because I was very like a justice, like advocate for people. So I'm like, maybe I'll go to law school. And then as time went on, I felt like God was saying, leaning me towards nursing school. And so I didn't know nursing school was hard to get into. I'm like, I'm going to nursing school. So I started looking it up, and I decided I need to come back home. I found out the school in my city, which was Georgia State. Shout out to Georgia State, had a very good nursing school. But I heard it was very competitive. And I followed this director to go to nurse school, and I had to take a lot of risk, right? So sometimes God gives us instructions and we think it's going to be a smooth sailing. First of all, I had to risk changing schools. So I left Alabama and I went to Georgia. Then not only I had to get into Georgia State, step one, but then I had to take all these classes science classes. I'm not taking those kind of science classes for construction management, right? And then I have to get into the nursing program. And there's a chance that I don't get into the nursing program. And if I don't get in it, I have to go to another school. And I was listening to all these people's stories about how they had to change schools. And because I started going to class with some of the people who were in their intent was to go to nursing school. And so what I did, God was very unique with me because I didn't think I had the best grades because if it's hard to get into, I was hearing you need to have a 4.0. Well, I was more of a 3.5, 3.6 kind of person. So God literally started giving me step-by-step instructions. He told me to go start volunteering so that my application would be diversified, right? Because I knew the type of grade. So then you had to take an entrance exam. He told me to take it with no knowledge first so I could see what it was like to take the test, and then I could turn around and take it again. So the first time I took the test, I made a 70 something because I'm just don't know. Second time I made a 90 something. So they used my highest grade. I did all of these things, and I remember it was time to apply for school, and I applied. All these people around me were getting in, and these people had 4.0. So I'm watching, and I'm watching, and I'm watching, and I'm watching. So then I'm like, I haven't heard anything. So I called the school and I said, did I get in? Because I haven't heard anything. And they said, what's your name? They looked me up. Um, just, just hang tight. They didn't say yes or no. They didn't say anything. And I was upset. I was crying. I was in my last class and I flunked the test because I was so hurt because I thought I didn't get in. So I was like, if I didn't get in, I could take this class in the summer. Like, it's not even serious anymore. Because y'all got to know I'm like 19, maybe 20. So I'm saved, but I got a whole lot of things that need to be surrendered at this time. So my being upset that I didn't know, I didn't even want to go to nursing school, right? I'm upset because I believe God has told me to do something and I can't do it because I have convinced myself that I did not get in. I'm walking down the street, I'm at school, and my mama called my phone. I'm like, hey mama. And she was like, "Dear Nikisa Jackson, we are excited to accept you into the Bernadine F. Lewis Nursing School." And I'm on the street screaming because Georgia State is like outside. I don't know if you've been in Georgia before or if you're from Georgia. And I'm screaming, "Oh my God, I got in!" And I just knew I was gonna get waitlisted. And then I had ran to some people. I was just so excited. And I even met some people who had 4.0s and got waitlisted, and they only accepted like maybe 80 people every year. And it was a top nursing school. It was not like they'll tell you people would discourage you from applying because it's so rigorous to get in. And I got in and I was just like, I cannot believe it. I think that was the first time that God really showed me that he said what he said. And if he has something for you, it don't have to make natural sense. Because if compared to what they said I needed, right? I shouldn't have got in, but God told me what to put on the application. Because some people may have had a 4.0 and maybe, they didn't have the volunteer experience. I don't know why it wasn't chosen. Maybe God had another direction they needed to go in, but God knew, like, it was like, I got you a seat. And it was like, I followed, like, I could have stayed at Tuskegee another year longer. I could have waited to apply a little bit later. I could have did all these things. Now, I did have to do some work because I got mad. Remember I told you I flunked that test. So I had to go to my teacher. And I'm like, you cannot fail me. I got into nursing school. We gotta pass this. So I skated out of that class with a C. Only C I made my whole career because after that I made like mostly. And then what's crazy, when I got into nursing school, I probably left with a 3.9. I had almost all A's in nursing school. So that is what the story I felt like God wanted me to share of, like, that was probably my first experience of God telling me to do something divine, and I took a lot of risk and I saw it all the way through. And I didn't even know I had that in me. I hadn't even thought about that story, but that's what I got for that question.
That was so good. Yeah, I experienced something similar, especially with real estate, being a single mom going back to school. Girl, understood. That was so good. Guys, I hope you heard everything that she said, because God could be calling you to go back to school. God could be calling you to do something that you're like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? The timing seems off. Things don't seem like they're flowing together right. But as you heard her story, as you heard her testimony, it shows that God sees past what we see. He sees past the circumstance. He saw past the grades. He saw that you need to be in that space. You need to help people. That was the objective. That was the directive. And you need to do that and follow through. So glad you did. So glad you did. So, Crystal, what about you? Same question.
Whew, that was very good, Nikisa. Thank you for sharing that. My testimonial story would be um, like Nikisa, when I was younger, I got in some trouble. And it kept me from getting jobs as I was applying for jobs. My background was keeping me from getting jobs. And I was getting frustrated outside of like McDonald's or Checkers or something like that, or, retail. And I was like, I don't understand what's going on. And let me say this, I was quote unquote saved all my life, but I really didn't have a relationship with God. So I didn't know this is God speaking. But I knew that he opened this door for me. This is what happened. I had been looking for a job, and everybody was turning me down that was paying well. And I was a mother, and I needed a job. And I went to the local labor department to apply for a job. And when I walked in, I mean, everything online, they was like, you didn't qualify, you get that little rejection letter. And if you know anything about rejection, when you haven't healed, everything that rejects you just takes you back to the pit, right? But some say get up and go to the office. And I went on their computer. Back in the day, you used to have to go on the computer and select 3 jobs, and somebody from the back will call you and go over the jobs with you. Well, the lady didn't go over the jobs with me. She just came to the door, didn't even bring all 3 of the jobs I selected after I sat out on that computer for 30, 45 minutes. She just handed them through the door and said, this is all you qualified for. She didn't understand my value, but guess what? I didn't either. But as I was getting ready to walk out, still feeling defeated, this lady that was in what they call a computer room, she helped you apply for things and help you print things and fax or what have you. She said, did you hear about the labor department is hiring? And I said, no. And my mind immediately said, girl, if you can't get in these simple jobs with your background, you ain't going to be able to get this in the state department, right? And so I was all like, no, never mind. She said, I think you should apply. And I said, okay, because she just kept badgering me. She was my angel that day. There were so many people in that office, in that little room, trying to apply for this job. And I looked at her and I said, all these people, everybody was faxing, because just so happened, this is how God works. The application was due that day that I walked in that office, and all these people just faxing, so much so that the fax machine said offline. But this is how God moves. And I did not know it was God at this moment. I just knew something was happening. She said, complete the application. I completed the application online. She said, print it out. It was about 6 pages. She said, give it to me. I said, your fax machine says offline. She called, she said, as long as it's postmarked tonight by 12 o'clock. So I got to thinking about the 24-hour postal service on Crown Road. I said, oh, I can make it over there, because I was in Decatur. Crown Road is over near another part of Georgia. And I was like, I can make it there. She sat down at her desk just to debrief and kind of calm down from the massive amount of people that were there. At this particular moment, it seemed everybody had gone. It was just she and I. She picked up the phone to call the HR department and tell them that her fax machine was offline and some of the applications may come in after 12 o'clock. And that person on the other end said, no, they need to be here by 5 o'clock p.m. I look down. It is 4:45. She said, Crystal, it's the store. I said, I'm going to make it to the store. I get to the Publix. The lady tried to send it through twice. I mean, one time it didn't go through. She said, I'm going to try it again. She tried it again. At 4:59:58, it said received. They said, Crystal, we're doing a mass hiring. There's it was so many people had been in the state for so long that the baby boomers were retiring. And I got in the door, and do you not know, in the door I felt out of place because I didn't graduate the way everybody else did. I was a high school dropout, but I went back to college and got my associate's degree, and I thought I'm not gonna make it, and I ended up being in the commissioner's space in the when I left there. God had me downtown in the headquarters, and I was over 159 counties. But had I just said, no, it's too many people, which is what I wanted to say, but this angel kept saying, I think you should do it. And God proved that it was what I was supposed to do, because at 11:59:58, it said, accepted. So that's how God works when you're obedient.
I I love that story, right? I see what God's doing tonight, right? I love that whole story. It's just like God qualified you. You was already, and you could have. And then I love what you kept saying that really stuck out to me with your story. You kept saying is that I didn't even know that it was God, right? I couldn't even track that it was God, but I was just doing it, and then it's like He sent somebody to push you. So it makes me think, like, for those listening, how many times has somebody said, "Oh, you should try this," and you're like, "Oh, I don't know," and you've discounted it because maybe you have heard the voice of God, and because it didn't come directly from His mouth, you ignored it, or you don't know God's voice, but then it ended up being a situation that literally changed the trajectory of your life, right? And you don't even know, by making that one decision to say yes to something that you thought you didn't qualify for, applying for the job that you didn't think that you could do, doing the thing that God told you to do. Because just because you can't identify, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not God, right? They don't mean that. So I just love that you gave that story, because I'm sure there's somebody watching or somebody listening who may say, well, I don't know if I hear God. Sometimes you don't have to literally hear an audible voice. God will lead you. It says that many plans are in a man's heart, but it's only God's purpose that will prevail. So with Crystal and my story so far, because I can't wait to hear what Jacinta has to say about this, his plan prevailed. His plan prevailed. Like, even when I shared my story, I was like, "Oh, nurse or lawyer." That's what I said. God said nurse, so He made sure I went down that path, because He told me that all I heard was help people, right? So that's what I heard. And then as things, I'm like, I feel like nursing should be one. I can go back home. I can do this, and I risked it all. So I just wanted to say that I just love that you kept saying that. So
Jacinta, let me add this in there. Let me tell you about God, though. When I got in there, my manager was someone that knew God. She was a woman of God. And let me tell you something else about being disobedient. God told me specific, and I didn't know this was God speaking, but there was just something about certain people. I could always read people, and there were women there. Now, when I don't even know my worth, when I'm walking up in here, I didn't even tell y'all that I was homeless with 4 children living in the lodge, had left my ex-husband. I was homeless and everything. I had nothing. I depleted all my savings. I had absolutely nothing. So I'm struggling like I need a job. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to take care of these kids, and they were accustomed to a certain type of life. But when I got in there, He started navigating. You know, when I learned who God was, He started navigating. There were people sitting in cubicles saying, it's something about her I don't even like. But I didn't even know who I was. So I was like, why they don't like me? What is wrong with them? They don't even, and these people didn't even know my name. But when God is doing a thing, the brightness and the light that He has inside of you, even when you don't recognize it, He makes you other people see it. And these women will huddle up in, not knowing I'm homeless. But guess what? In my homelessness, just what He has me doing right now with Hope, they start certifying me as a facilitator. I start getting all these credentials and all of these things, and I'm facilitating workshops, and people writing the commissioner saying, y'all need to hire her, as if they thought I came in just to do the class. And the commissioner like, she work here. They was like, oh my goodness. People will call and say, well, what church? And I never said God, because again, I don't know God. I'm in a lodge. I don't even know if God exists right now, because I'm mad, you know? And but people kept saying, well, what church you go to? And I kept saying, I don't go to nobody church. But I kept saying, but if you ask God for something, if you said this, you said that, and but God was grooming me for what we're going to talk to y'all about at the end. I'm telling y'all, God is good. He has a plan. And as Nikisa said, his plan will prevail. Because I wanted to be a lawyer too. Might be why I'm so chatty.
Oh my God, these are so good. Guys, if you haven't, I'm going to pause here. If you have not invited a friend to watch this, if you have not shared this with someone, because this conversation is so good, and I know it's going to keep being good because God is in the midst of it. So, for with that being said, I can go ahead and share mine. So I was sitting here going, God, what can I share? God kept saying, real estate, real estate. Literally, real estate was a God send, a God answered prayer. Little did I know, right? Here I am. I'll just paint the background picture. Here I am getting ready to get separated with my ex-husband, father of my two children, and literally just going, I kept feeling this pull of I need to do something. I need to do something else. At the time I was a stay-at-home mom. I had helped my daughter through school and all of that. And I felt it coming to an end. And I was like, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to do something, something other than this. And literally, God was like, God sent a bunch of people. He sent a dream first. He talked to me in a dream and was like, "Oh yeah, you need to go back to school." I'm thinking, "Okay, where am I going?" I saw real estate in my dream. I saw things with houses in my dream. So I'm like, "Okay, you know how for those who are avid dreamers, you know how you pass it off and you go, "Okay, that was just a weird dream. I'll deal with that later." And literally that's all I did. Tucked it away, but I write my dreams down. So I wrote it down and was like, "Okay, maybe God will explain that later." Literally, he sent another person to go, "Hey, have you thought about real estate? Have you thought about, selling houses?" And I was like, "Okay, that's strange." Then literally sent another person, "Hey, real estate and HG, if you're interested in interior design or HGTV and yada yada, and you should do real estate." Okay, that's getting more strange. So God just kept sending people and sending these reminders. So what I ended up doing, I said, "You know what? Fine. God, if that's your way of explaining what I'm supposed to do, cool, then show me the next step." So I had at least gotten to this point in my relationship with God that I said, if you want me to go to real estate school, you're going to have to pick the school you want me to go to. I said, there is way too many states across this United States. There's 50 of them. That's not including colleges, universities, and all this other stuff. Ain't nobody trying to figure that out. I'm a mom with two kids. Make this simple, make this plain for me, and help me through this. Literally, after I prayed that prayer, in the mail, I want to say no more than 3 days later, I got a flyer for the college and university that I ended up attending here in Georgia. So I went to Clayton. Excuse me, the school that I went to was up north. And what ended up happening was when that flyer came in, I was like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? And it was actually for, God corrected me, it was for Kennesaw State University. They had an adult night school program that I did not know about. I only knew about the ones that the 18, 19-year-old, the youngins go to, right? When you fresh out of high school. That's the only one I knew about. It literally was a flyer for the adult night school program. And on it, he said, now go online and see what classes they have. Literally went online, saw the class. It said real estate. And I said, you are funny. Literally ended up going there and went to apply in person. So they were having this event where you come, you apply in person, and you can, instantly enroll. Why did I go up there to Kennesaw State? Took the drive all the way up there. Why, when I was getting ready, they were having the event to enroll everybody and, showcase the classes, allow us to talk to some of the teachers and professors and stuff like that. Why did the fire alarm go off? We had to pause. A whole fire truck had to come out. And, you know, for anybody who dibble dabbles where you kind of know God and you're kind of looking for a sign and you're like, "Wait, well, my horoscope said all this stuff, right?" When I saw the fire truck, I was like, well, maybe that's a sign I'm not supposed to be here. God was like, you better not go nowhere. You better not start up your car. You better not walk away. None of that jazz. You better wait till they leave. because I hadn't even enrolled, I haven't even paid for my class and all that. So, and let me tell you this, God is so good too, because I didn't even have the money. I did not even have the money to enroll into this class, right? But God literally gave me the money and everything. Gave me the money, told me who to ask. Like when I tell you God lined up every little step, every step was ordered. This was such a beautiful testimony. So after the fire engine came, and I was like, well, maybe that's my sign I should leave. God said, don't go nowhere. Literally, they were like, oh, it's a false alarm. Looks like the alarm just went off. You guys are clear to go back in. Literally, we went back in. Now, some people left. Now, here's my testimony. Some people left. They took that as their sign to not enroll, to not even go through and follow through with what God or whatever, right, they thought was talking to them. But God said, go back in and go finish your enrollment. Literally finished my enrollment, enrolled that night, and started my journey into real estate and haven't looked back since. When I tell you, this is back in 2019. God is so good. Like, I have done commercial leases, I've sold homes, I've even recently just bought land with my husband. Like, God is wild. And I love this. The reason why I say that is because it's never what you think. It's never what you think. You're thinking, oh, I don't know how I'm going to go to school. You're thinking, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get that job. You're thinking, oh, I've never done nursing. I was going into my family business. It's never about what you think it is. We always assume it's about us. Baby, let me tell you, we even all have testimonies about all the people that we have helped along the way. So it has never, ever, ever just been about us. Yes, has it helped us in the moment that we needed it? It has, but it has been about bringing others along with us so that they get the blessing, they get to know God because of our obedience.
If I could just add something to Jacinta, that was a wonderful testimony. Nikisa, you can come on off mute. I just want to say this to whomever is watching. If you can think it and you can do it on your own, then it's not from God, and it's probably not what you're supposed to be doing. If it just comes smooth and easy with no kind of effort from you, or if you can dream it and you say, oh, I can accomplish that with my eyes closed. Not once you get your skills, like Nikisa is a excellent nurse, not those kind of things. But if it's just something that don't require a whole lot of anything from you, I know God has more. He has to have more. So then you have to check with him and say, Dad, is this from you or is it just me out here doing my own thing?
Yeah, you made me think about something when you said that, Crystal. I remember I was coaching this young lady one time about about some things God had asked her to do, and she kept saying, "Well, I'm actually good right now. Like, I don't even think I need to do this. I don't think I need to do this. I'm good." And I said to her, I said, "How would you feel if you knew that your child could do more and they were just satisfied where they are?" I said, what if your child said, high school was good to me. I don't really need to go to college. Like, I'm good. I'm chill right here. And then she really had to think about it. And it was like, but I know he can do more than that. Right. And I would like him to do more than that. Like, high school's not enough. Right. But maybe he's okay. And I said, that's what you're telling God. You're telling God that I got enough, but it's not about you, because he decided, when he created you, he decided you will do this, you will look like this, you will accomplish these things I want you. His will is straight and narrow, but it's a long narrow path. It's so many things that God has called you to do, and to stifle him by saying I'm good, or I'm okay. Like Jacinta could have said, yeah, the fire alarm went off, I'm not supposed to do real estate. Crystal could have said, girl, it's 4:45. There's no way I'm going to get this application in. I could have said, well, they telling me, that I'm not going to get in this nursing program because it's hard. So maybe I should wait a year. Maybe I should wait another year. Because the thing about what we talked about was all of it was dealing with the word timing. The divine directive had a timing on it. I don't even think we did not intend to do that, y'all. Everything had a timing situation on it, because the minute Mr. Sensor walked out of there with the money for that class, it would have went to something else she thought she needed, right? The minute I would have decided that it's too early for me to apply to nursing school, I probably would have bombed the rest of my classes, right? The minute Crystal counted herself out of that job, she probably still would have been looking for a job because everybody had been telling her no. So I just want y'all to really see the importance of divine directives, because he has a plan and we could not see the other side. So yeah, we're talking from this standpoint because we're over here now, but we could not see it. And that's just one of the stories of the many things that God has asked us to do. And one thing that I'm learning how to do in this season is not to say big or small. They're just instructions. They're not small instructions. Oh, it's not big. It's instructions that we have to follow. And we need to really take the limits off and the brakes off. And when you see, in which I'm so excited about what we're about to announce, when you start to discover what's in the way, that's God saying, let's deal with what's in the way. What is in the way of me doing what you asked me to do? And transparent, for me, what's in the way is this simple saying that we all say, I don't feel like it. That's in the way, because it doesn't matter what I feel like. My feelings are a liar. They don't know what I need. They don't know what God needs for me. They don't know what you need. Because I could have said, I don't feel like coming on here doing this podcast. And then you wouldn't have got all of this. Right? Jacinta and Crystal probably did it, would have did their obedience and showed up like they should have. But then we'll be missing a piece of TPR. Then it's no longer TPR. Right? We could all say, I had a long day. They'll be okay. No, if God said do it, we want to do it. And this month in May, we're talking about winning in obedience. So as you're watching this, I want you to think about how you won in obedience this month. I think that's how we should end this as we introduce what we're launching. We're so excited about it, y'all, because I know, and I know, listen, I'm going to tell y'all something. I know y'all may feel, so I really want to tell y'all about how I got to a place of obedience, right? And all the struggles, but we got something even better to talk about that, because we're talking about winning on this live. So we're going to get into that next week when we introduce our thing. But I think everybody here, as we close out and introduce what we got coming, y'all got to stick around. We get into it very shortly. How you won in obedience in this month. And I think for me, one way I've been winning in obedience, which has been happening for the past few months, is putting my money where God told me to put it, regardless of what the balance is when I do it. And that's a big thing. It's been times in this past month alone where I'm like, okay, God, like I know I get paid different ways and all these things, but you're telling me I got $100. You want me to spend 70 of them on this? That's gonna leave me with $30. Like you know that math? And I'm like, and I've learned to be quicker about just not making a comment. He knew how much it cost. He knew what was in the account. He told me to pay for it, so I'm gonna pay for it. I'm gonna get it because it's his money anyway. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be making the money. So that's something that God's just been working on me. So I've been winning in obedience by putting the money where it goes. And that has been with tithes, offering, sewing, and buying stuff as simple as I just bought a new set of sheets and some new pillows. Things that you might say, oh, that's like, no, that's an instruction. That's what he told me to do. So I've done it, because sometimes we try to make his instructions so elaborate. Like we try to say, oh, well, God said that I need to go buy a whole new bed. No, he just told you to get a couple new sheets. He just told you to get a new pillow because your pillow ain't that comfortable. You've been having that same pillow too long. Like he just told you maybe rest today instead of doing what you thought was a good thing to do, because he knows that he knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So you know what I'm saying. And sometimes he does say go start a whole business. Yeah, he does, but we can't miss the other steps in the process to getting where he needs us to be. So that's my winning in obedience this week.
That was so good. So good. So, my winning in obedience for this winning May that we've been focusing on has been preparing before you see a thing. Okay, so let me give an example. So, as I said, my husband and I recently we purchased this land for our home, and literally God was like, "Okay, so with the house and the layout of the floor plan, I need you to make a mood board." Excuse me? For a house that's not mine? That's not in my name yet. Yeah, I need you to make, and he's like, "And don't skip on any of the rooms. Like the closet, that's a room, that's a space. The kitchen is a space. And I want you to design it for you and your family. Make sure everybody likes their room, everyone likes their space, and would be comfortable in it." Well, we ain't signed nothing. Like we still ain't signed nothing. God was like, "Did I ask you if you signed anything?" Like I love God. God is like a I said what I said type father. And literally, so for me, winning in obedience was just follow through. Just do it. Literally just do it. Because I don't know where that was in the grand scheme of us signing, how much impact it had, right? In the spiritual realm that led to the physical realm. So we never know if that seemingly small instruction that we think is small is actually huge. Both because God in heaven could have been like, thank you, she did it. She didn't ask no questions this time. She just moved forward and did what I asked. So, yeah, prepare even when you don't see, prepare when you don't understand. That's been my obedience win.
Oh, you ladies, that is so good, so good. Both of you ladies. My obedience win is a bit different. It has been extending grace to myself. Um, I've had some transitions in life in the past 8 to 9 months, and I wasn't gracing myself enough to move forward. And so May is mental health month, and I really had to focus on my mental health and receive the grace that had already been given unto me. And with that grace, while we're talking about obedience, and my winning is that I went back to God and apologized and repented for where I was disobedient because I felt inadequate, or because life had changed, or because I was angry at God. So I had to go back and repent and talk to my dad and get back in alignment. So that was my win for May. Sitting with my mental, going back to the Father, talk about those areas where I may have lost some trust, and being accountable to the yes I gave, but I didn't follow through on, and then allowing, not taking grace for granted, but knowing that grace is there and applying it to my life, and accepting the fact that he loves me and he still has a call for my life. So that's what my win has been in May. It wasn't, and that's major for me, may not be major for others, but just finding my center again was my win in May.
That's so good though, finding your center again, because in one of our founder pour sessions we talked about maybe in a reset. So it sounds like you met the obedience of the reset actually. So listen, y'all, I'm so excited. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Y'all who are watching live, you're watching the replay. If we're so excited to announce this. So if it's not June 7th, it's not too late for you to join us for what I'm about to announce, right? So in honor of Wins May, we're leading you all into a free 3-day summit. Let me see if I can add it. There we go. So we'll put that in the chat. So this summit is called From Rebellion to Restoration, right? Rebellion to Restoration, y'all. So we are going to be talking about, for 3 intense nights, right? 3 nights. We're going to be talking about our individual stories from going to a space of rebellion to being restored by God, and just talk about the journey. And also, the good thing I love about this is that the journey does not end. So we'll talk about where we are in our restoration journey. And we have an amazing hostess that's going to be hosting us. So next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 to 9 o'clock, you're going to get an hour with each of us to really go in and really dive deep into how we went from a place of rebellion to restoration. So you'll really get to hear our personal stories. And then you'll get to learn strategies for yourself of how you can move from that place. Remember, I kind of mentioned like you got to see what's in the way. We'll be helping you determine like what's in the way and how you can move it out of the way, because you don't have to stay there. Like sometimes you're dealing with stuff and you like, I don't know how to get out of this space of disobedience. I remember those years of just like, I want to be obedient, but it's not seeming to work out. And just having to go through that hard process, right? And really surrendering daily. And we're going to really get into our own thing because you're going to get something different from each of us, right? So, I'm the love girl, right? So I'm going first. We're going to be talking about love, but I'm also just going to talk about that from a space of rebellion to restoration, because love has been one of the things that I have really had to overcome from loving myself and loving other people and understanding what love really is. And then Crystal, the hope restorer, is really going to go deep into that hope. And she kind of mentioned her story, like she was getting looking for jobs and she was living in a lodge with her children, right? And then Jacinta just talked about her being in a space of transition and having to get her real estate license, and how now she went from what school I'm gonna go to getting all these random things that she thought was random to buying land. You don't hear people buying land all the time. So you gotta come hear this story because she's the faith person. Like, how did she go from not only buying land, but did you hear that she's getting a house and she's making mood boards? So she's gonna say what this house looks like. So not only will she own just the house and where the house sit, she owns the land around it, right? So you have to come to hear us speak. And then, y'all, we're doing something special. So if you've been around, you may have been to a previous summit we've had, but this time we're having a VIP. Somebody even come and just put VIP. We have a VIP session that's going to start at 9 p.m. immediately after we talk. So it starts at 8 p.m. And our VIP session is your opportunity to see what it's like to have a pour out session with us. You don't want to miss these pour out sessions. This is your time to be refueled. This is your time to get your specific questions answered about your specific issue. We'll allow you, even if you don't want to outcast it as you asking the question, we'll have a way for you to ask it directly to a person who won't mention your name. But it'll be intimate. It'll be a private space. It'll be on Zoom. It won't be aired publicly on our YouTube, and you'll be able to get your questions answered. You'll be able to get refueled and go deeper into strategies that you need to get unstuck or to get to the next level. Because maybe you're not stuck, but maybe you've at a place where it's like where we talked about, like, yeah, I think I'm good, and this I'm good with this job that I'm at, or I'm good with this one business that I'm working on, but I feel like God is telling me to write a book. So I feel like God is telling me to start something new, and I don't really know what to do with that. This is your space, because when you start saying, I think God is telling me to do something, or he's telling me to do something, you're not doing it, you open yourself up for rebellion to come back. So maybe you've been obedient in one space where God has you at, but maybe it's another space he's trying to push you in. Because we all talked about a story of transition, which I didn't even catch that. All of us were transitioning in each of our stories. And if we would have made one different decision, we wouldn't even have this story. We don't know where our life would have went or what God would have had to do to wrap it back around to get us where we should have always been. So you need to register. It is free. The VIP session is only $25. You get that's 3 nights, and you get replay access for 30 days. If you register, you do get a chance to watch the replay one time within 24 hours. But we get busy during the week. You may not get back to it. But if you have VIP, you can watch it for 30 days over and over again. Because one thing I know is when you hear us speak, even now, you may have to go back and watch this from the beginning, right? When you hear us speak, there's going to be something that sticks with you each and every time you watch the replay, right? And so you want to make sure you get your VIP seat. It's not required. All it requires is that you give us your name, email, and phone number so you can get access to so you'll be able to access the replay for one night and be able to watch us live and get the updates and join our email list and just come into our community. So we suggest that you go ahead and register. And if you want VIP, you will be able to see it pop up after your registration. We would love to see you on that side. I'm excited. So I'm gonna let them. I think that whatever you want, either you want to share about the summit, I'm gonna open the floor for you all.
All I'm going to reiterate is you need to be there. You need to bring a friend and you need to be there. Because if you were like us, where we need to transition, or you were looking for God to show up and show out somewhere for you, come. You'll get the push and the knowledge that you need. And you'll also hear our stories sound similar to a lot of people's as well.
So I will just end before we close out with just saying, get in the room. I know somebody may say, well, I've gone to several summits or I've come to something that y'all have done already. but God is new, and the blessings and things are brand new every day. And the perspective that He's given us to share from is different this time. And we want to help encourage you and push you and get you to that space where 2024 is truly your year. So if you're somebody who said, I'm almost to the second half, and you're looking back and saying, I didn't finish this, I didn't do that, I haven't had the energy or any of that, this is where you'll want to be. Come on and join us, and tap into what God is doing next for us and for you all.
So yes, that's so good. We hope to see you on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. We just want to remind you, if you have not connected with us, first of all, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, we're on the road to 100 subscribers. We got 7 subscribers, and we know we can do more. So invite somebody to it. You look at our page. A lot of our videos are live. So you just have to click the live tab and see all the podcasts that we put out each and every month. When we first started, we did individual lives to kind of share our background in the area that we work in. So definitely, and we do this podcast every fourth Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're usually on for about 30, 45 minutes. Today we're leading towards an hour because we had some announcements, but we're so excited about the summit, and we hope to see you on. Get your VIP ticket, just at minimum register. Just get in the room with us. There's a reason why you don't want to miss this moment in time. Like, you came on, you watched this, or you're catching this replay, and it's not too late for you to sign up, right? And we'll also put all our links below in the comments. We want you to subscribe, join our Facebook group. In the Facebook group, we go live about 3 times a month. Everybody there hears it first. So we're about to go in the Facebook group. Make sure they have the link and those kind of things. Even though if you're in the Facebook group, you registered because you are our insider, right? We're gonna have to come up with a name, y'all, for our people in our group. We have to come up with a name for them. But so definitely make sure you follow the Pouring Room on all social media platforms, the Pour 365, and we'll get you all the links below. Thank y'all for joining us. We hope that something we said has touched you and it's something that you could use and incorporate in your life, and that you start to think about how you're winning in obedience so you can do the thing that Crystal talked about. Minister Crystal talked about. She said, giving herself grace. Sometimes we don't give ourselves grace. And this Mental Health Awareness Month was all about focusing in on what's going well, what we're doing well. We could be so hard on ourselves. I know I have been. And God is like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, how can you be proud of me? I have not done X, Y, Z. And He's like, but you did A, B, and C. So I want y'all to be encouraged tonight. Come to the summit. Come get fueled up, because you know you've been pouring out and you've been pouring into whatever God has been giving to you. And this is your opportunity to come refuel with us. So that's all I have for tonight. If we are clear, we're going to get off of here. We're going to get back to the many things God has called us to do. If you just joined us, go back to the beginning, watch the replay, and we will see you all on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on at the summit. Okay, starting with me.